Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gentle Yoga. Today is Friday, December 4th, 2020. We wanted to welcome you to Gentle Yoga and to thank you all for coming. As always, Gentle Yoga is sponsored by our friends of the Brookline Public Library who fund this program and as well as programs like it. We also wanted to welcome our community partners, Brookline Interactive Group, who stream this program through their Facebook page, their YouTube page, as well as local cable access channel 3 on Comcast and RCN. As always, with Gentle Yoga, this is a disclaimer. Participation in this online yoga program could result in injury. Not all exercises presented here are suitable for everyone. These exercises are not intended to substitute for proper medical care or advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any exercise program. The creators, teachers, and producers assume no responsibility for injuries from participation in this program. And with that, here's Keith.
Hi, good morning. So let's begin with a sound. And as we listen to the sound, think about your yoga practice and what you've done in the past and what's important in our yoga practice. And we talk a lot about posture and breathing. So think about that for a moment and follow your instincts. Follow what you remember from the past and focus in on your posture and your breathing without me telling you anything. See what happens. And we're just going to listen. We're just going to listen for a moment and focus on the breath and our good posture. Feel free to close your eyes if you want to. Sitting up nice and tall, relaxing the shoulders. And softening the face and eyes. Releasing the jaw and the tongue and the throat. I'm going to stay with the silence for a few moments. Just continuing to breathe and sit up tall. Perhaps you feel the heart opening, the center of the chest where the heart is. A lifting and opening there, and an extension from the sitting bones up through the crown of the head. You might even feel your feet resting on the floor, helping to ground the body so that we have a feeling of support. We want to be able to feel ourselves when we sit. Maybe give a little sigh as you exhale. And then when you're ready, feel free to open your eyes. Let's start out with a little warm up. We're going to lean from side to side just to get things moving a little bit. And I'm wearing some different shoes today than I usually wear. I have a pair of sandals that I normally would wear outside, but I'm recruiting them for the winter to wear just inside. So cleaning them up a little bit and then wearing them around the house and seeing how it changes. You know, when we wear the same footwear all the time, sometimes we get into the foot conforms to whatever it is that we're wearing, and vice versa. The shoe conforms a little too, but it's more the foot. And sometimes when you change things, especially things like the arch support, because every shoe is a little different, it changes the anatomy of the foot slightly, which ripples up the whole body, especially up into the knees and the hips, and perhaps even up into the length, being able to lengthen and open the chest. So let's bring the palms together, and we'll inhale and circle the arms around. So feel free that you can make this a little more, to have a little fun with this. If you wanted to change it up just a little bit, keep the general shape flowing. Notice I'm not bringing my hands together this time. You can if you want. So for some people, they might enjoy bringing their palms together and having the hands, the tips of the fingers kind of move up together. But you could also do it with the hands apart, just a big circling round, big circling, and even having the palms sweeping down, so that they're pointing down towards the floor and perhaps opening the fingers apart, and then bringing them together and then going the other way. So remember, this is your practice, and to make it your practice, add a little, I wouldn't change things too much, but if you wanted to try something slightly different, like we're doing with the hands not touching, feel free to do that. You could even make the circles a little smaller out here and then make them begin to spiral and get bigger, as long as the shoulders feel okay. So one of the most important things that we practice in yoga is ahimsa. Ahimsa is a Sanskrit word. It means nonviolence. And it begins with ourselves. We need to be nonviolent to ourselves in order that we are able to practice that beyond ourselves. And let's bring the palms together now. We'll inhale and exhale. And so when we do our cactus breaths, we often sweep the arms. So feel free to do that, sweeping the arms back and forth, and at the same time, slowly raising the shoulders. So the hands make sort of an S shape as they travel. And you could even, so to change your focus here, you could work with the focus of opening and then lifting the shoulders. And that feels different than making an S shape with the hands. My attention, I feel the difference in my intention and attention, depending on what I'm focusing on. So you could try each one. You could try the S shape, or you could try just keeping with this opening and closing, almost like getting a little rhythm here with the opening and closing, and then let the shoulders lift up slightly, and let the shoulders go down, almost like there's two different things going on. So there's this one, the opening, and then there's the shoulders moving up and down. With the S, it's really like one thing, right? Because we're making an S shape, but the movement's really similar. And let's bring the arms down, roll the shoulders, roll the shoulders. You could even add a little bit of little funky sort of flowy arms, like this is nice. And maybe adding just a bit of turning. So we feel a little bit of movement across the belly, a little bit of movement, and then try it the other way. Same thing here. Maybe a little shorter crawl stroke today. Or if you like it long, try it long. You might notice that the shape that we're making influences, well, the muscles that we feel in the shoulders. And let's bring the arms down and roll both shoulders up. And for this one, make sure the hands are resting on the legs, and the arms, the lower part of the arms from the shoulder, from the where the shoulder, below the shoulder, make sure they're resting, so that The shoulders are lifting up, but the arms are really just resting down from the shoulders with the hands resting on the legs. And then one shoulder at a time. And then back the other way. And let's do the neck. So we'll lift up and release down. Do this a few times. So we've been working on the shoulders here. And so the neck, in order to make the neck move a little more freely, it helps to have the shoulders open first. So that's our warm up for the neck, just the shoulders. Let's try adding the breath to this. So when we inhale, we're going to lift the chin up. When we exhale, we're going to let it come down. And inhale up and exhale down. And today, about a little bit more letting the back curve a little bit with the movement. So we do this sometimes with bending the spine in 6 ways. If you remember that, we arch to bring the chest forward and back. But with this one, we're going to let the chin come down. And notice my back rounds slightly. So there's a flattening here and a little bit of rounding in the shoulders for as I lift my notice my heart comes forward and there's a slight bend here. And I get a little curve in the lower back here. Not a lot, but a little bit. And I'm going to go back and forth like that. Feeling the movement along this whole spine from the base of the neck all the way down to the tailbone. Not overdoing the curves though. I don't want to have a big curve like this. I want to have enough support from the belly and the back that the back stays stable. So we want the nice lifting and opening even as the spine is undulating back and forth. So I'm not letting my whole spine collapse. Keep it lifted even as it's bending forward and back. And perhaps that means we let go a little bit of the effort that we're using. So we're balancing that ease and also the effort. Making sure you don't drop your head too far back. And of course, anytime we get pain in any of these movements, we either shouldn't do the movement at all, or we need to limit the extent of the movement that we're doing. Start with trying to make it smaller, and then if that doesn't work, then please stop and wait for the next exercise. So for the next neck is this letting the ear come to the shoulder. And for this one, let's try it like this today. We'll have the hands up around here, and as I drop my head, I'm going to lift my elbow slightly. As I drop my head, I'm going to lift my elbow slightly. We still want a very relaxed side of the neck as we release the head over. So there's no forcing of the head or the neck here. And there's no forcing of the elbow up. I'm letting the elbow just sort of rise up a little to facilitate this bending to the side. And feel free to close the eyes here if you want. So you could even, if you wanted, you could also work, if this bothers your shoulders, you could also work with the hands down the legs. And think about the elbow dropping down towards the hip if your hands are on your legs. So there's a little bit of, it's less movement. You won't move as much, the elbow, but you'll get a little bit more movement and you'll get this more bending. You'll see that I'm bending. There's a bending kind of like a tree, right? Let's bring our hands up like this. Perhaps like this. And perhaps with the arms extended like this. And think about how a tree, when we see a tree bending in the wind, we had a lot of wind here the other day, and the trees were going crazy. I should say they were being pushed around by the wind. We want to make this so it feels okay. So perhaps a little bit more. And now the head is moving a little bit, but we're not releasing the neck quite as much. It's going for this bending back and forth. Let's bring the arms down. And we're going to massage the ears. So massaging the ears, taking hold of the earlobe, and just very gently, squeezing gently and giving it a little massage, and working your way up. I'm going to move closer so you can see. Working your way up with your fingers along the ears, the edge of the ear. And then try it with squeezing and very gently pulling the ear. So there's no pain. If you're getting pain, you're doing it too hard, you're pulling too hard, squeezing too hard. It should feel nice. The one thing you'll have to watch is if you have earrings, if you have any ornaments in your ears, you'll have to be really careful. You might even not want to do this, or you might want to take your ornaments out. So, but that's a nice way. This helps to loosen up the neck. It sounds counterintuitive. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but it has to do with the fascia, the connection between the fascia, which is the covering of the muscles between the neck muscles. They seem to be influenced by the. And there's many in Chinese medicine or some other traditional medicines. There are many points, nerve endings in the ears, and the massaging the ears is supposed to be stimulating for various parts of the body. And now let's turn the head. Just letting the head turn, almost like it's swiveling, or perhaps thinking about the nose painting something. You could even, if you wanted, you could take your hand like this and wave it back and forth. I prefer to do this exercise with the eyes closed. And I don't worry about how far I'm turning my head. You might even notice I'm not turning it as far as it could turn, but it feels comfortable and easy to do this. And that's what we want. We want our neck to turn comfortably and easily. There's not too many times when we really have to, in life, where we have to crank our neck. Once we're driving the car, we're backing up, we've got to turn. But many people, of course, have the screens. If you have a newer car, you have a rear camera in your car. And then we're going to circle the head around. Same thing here about perhaps closing the eyes. If you all get dizzy or you feel disoriented when you do this, slow the movement down and see if that helps. So rid of so it's a lot of times it's the quick motion, the same turning the head. If you turn your head too fast, it makes some people dizzy. To turn your head fast, people dizzy. So do it slow. And let's go the other way, please. And this whole time, sometimes we forget, but we have to keep remembering to have good posture here. Sometimes we start to slump, and it's natural. We get in these habits, these postural habits, and we have no thought about when they kick in. They're just a habit. And let's sit up nice and tall. And we're going to do an eagle pose. We're going to do eagle. So we've been doing eagle with the arms starting with the arms like this. I'd like to try it now with the arms crossing like this. And if you want to do a little extra eagle, you can also add the legs to it, but it's optional. So if you want to add the leg, you'll cross. I'm going to do my right over my left knee like this. So you can also do it with the right over the left ankle, if that's more comfortable. But right over left, if you want. And then we do the opposite for the arms. So if the right is over the left, we do the left over the right for the arms. And I'm just going to cross my hands like this and fold them like this for a moment, almost like I'm going to give myself a hug. And we're going to breathe in and sit up nice and tall. Relaxing the shoulders. So that's the first step in Eagle. Now, if you know Eagle, if you're familiar with it and you feel comfortable enough, you can intertwine the hands here. We'll do that. I'll show that next in a moment. Otherwise, we can stay like this. Sorry about that. So I am keeping a timer here because I know we're limited. We're being broadcast, so I'll try to end us right at 10:30, and then we're going to release and come down, and then we uncross. Come back to mountain pose for a minute. Sit up nice and tall. Find some balance in the left and the right side, so we feel really even. Sitting, lifting the heart up, and we're going to do the other side. So we did the right over left. We're going to do the left over right if you're doing the legs, or the left ankle over the right ankle. And make sure that everything is. Notice that there's a straightness, or if I had my navel is here, if I did a line straight out in front, the line would actually cross right between my knees, right about here. So I don't want to be off to the side. I don't want to be twisted. I want to be straight. And then I'm sitting up nice and tall. Start with that. And then we have the left over the right, so we have the right over the left here. So it's almost like making an X with your arms like this. And then I'm going to fold the arms until they come somewhere either on the triceps or on the shoulders, or even if it's comfortable, you can reach back for the shoulder blades. And sitting up nice and tall. Thinking about extending the spine here, keeping the face relaxed, relaxing the shoulders, softening the shoulders. And as I breathe in, I notice there's not much room in the front. So I breathe. It feels like the breath is moving more into the back of the body, especially where the shoulder blades are. And one more breath. And then you can go ahead and release. Release the arms, then uncross the legs, come back to mountain pose. And let's go like this for a moment. Just to let a little turning. Maybe even letting the arms swish back and forth. And maybe the head is turning a little bit, if that's comfortable. You can also leave the head facing the front and just do the arms. You could even do the opposite if you wanted. It's harder on the neck. So whenever we turn to one side, sort of a general yoga thing is when we turn to one side with the body and we turn the head in the opposite direction, it's harder on the neck. So be mindful of that and be careful, and only do that if your neck is really good. If you have no neck issues. If you have neck issues, please don't do that. Sitting up nice and tall. Let's go back. We'll add the full, we'll do it step by step. So we did the right over left. I think that was the first one. And that means we'll do left over right. So we make our X with our arms, and then you can stay here, or you can take hold of the shoulders, or if you want to intertwine, we cross over and we intertwine like this. But we only intertwine if it feels comfortable for the shoulders and the arms and the wrists. Sitting up nice and tall. And exhaling, softening. And if this is really comfortable and easy, you could begin to lift the elbows up, but no higher than the shoulders, and lift the elbows away from the heart. slightly. So this is a small movement. If you find that your shoulders are starting to really ride up when you lift your elbows up, then you want to make sure the shoulders stay down as the elbows come up. Don't sacrifice the elbows for the shoulders. I should say, don't sacrifice the shoulders to lift the elbows up. And then go ahead and release, and then come back to the X, and release the X, uncross the legs. And we'll do the other side now. This left over right, so it could be one leg on top, or it could be the ankle over the ankle, or it could just be regular seated mountain pose beginning, and then add the arms. So you have a lot of choices. Left over right means right over left for our X, and then you can hold on to the shoulders and breathe, sit up nice and tall, or you can interlace. This side is harder for me. And our shoulders, it's normal to be asymmetric. I say that a lot because it bothered me for a long time that things didn't always seem to work as well on one side or another, until I finally accepted that I'm just not symmetrical. And feeling the breath. Feel the breath coming into the belly, then into the heart area, and feel the back of the body expanding. Feel the side ribs expanding. Keep the face and eyes soft here. Face and eyes are soft. Shoulders relaxed. And then go ahead and release. And we always want to release with control. So as you move things apart, as you undo, don't let everything flop open. Maintain some slowness and control as you're moving. And then uncross and sit up nice and tall. Let's rock from side to side like this. And then come back to this movement. And if you'd like, you could also stand up for this. So feel free, if you're tired of sitting, feel free to stand up for a moment and swing the arms. But you can also do this seated. If you have arms on the chair, you just have to be really careful about swinging your arms. Or if you're near other furniture, please be careful that you don't bang your hands on something else near you. It's very unpleasant, swinging back and forth. And if you are standing and swinging, make sure the knees are a little bit bent. I'm turned sideways so you can see. So we want some softness. No, I'm not doing this. I'm not having a knee bend, but I'm having a soft knee. So my legs are not straight. There's a slight bend. And for me, that's really easy because I have very tight hamstrings, and I can't straighten my legs easily anyway. But if you hyperextend, so hyperextension would mean that I have a straight leg and my knee can actually go back the opposite way. So you want to be careful when you do things like swinging the arms that you're not locked. If you can hyperextend, we don't want to lock our legs and force the knee backwards. And the same thing goes with the elbow joint as well. And sitting up nice and tall, take a couple of breaths. Let's add the cactus breath. Inhale and exhale. Now let's bring one arm out to the side and then begin to look in the opposite direction, or turn the head slightly. Let's do that a few times. Do that 1, 2. I'm not forcing my head. I'm just letting my head turn. You could even do it. Let's try it this way. Let's bring the arm out like this, and then begin to turn the head. And when you feel tension on here, that's where you'll stop. And then we'll come back. So we'll open with just the arm, And then we'll add the neck, really paying attention to how the neck feels when I do this. And then we'll come back. See if you can bring them back at the same time, even though they're not going out at the same time. Arm first. Gently turn the head. Take a breath. Exhale, soften the shoulder. And now inhale, come back. So we can add the breath to it as another dimension in the practice. You'll also find that the exhalation is the natural part. We naturally relax when we exhale. So we inhale, sit up nice and tall, let the arm float out. And then we exhale, and we let the head turn in the opposite direction. As we exhale, we soften the shoulder. And then we inhale again. And exhale, soften the shoulder, and then bring the arm and head back at the same time. Rest the hand down. Do the other side. So the arm extends out. Inhaling. And then exhale, soften the shoulder and allow the head to turn in the opposite direction. My shoulder here is relaxing now. And we inhale, feeling an opening here in the front of the shoulder when we inhale. And then exhaling, soften, let this shoulder relax too. And then inhale, come back. Let's roll the shoulders. So that's a nice shoulder opener. So we've been working on the shoulders for a bit. Let's go down to the lower part of the body. And let's warm up a little bit more with the legs, coming back to the rocking that we were doing. And you can begin to slow it down too. So we start to really engage the core of the body here. You could rest your hands on the belly and feel the firmness here as I lean from side to side. The slower I go, the more firmness I need. So if I'm working on control, I want to go slower. If I want to feel a little more freedom, maybe I don't have quite as much patience today, or I feel like I need to move. If you feel like you need to move, then try it. Try moving and see how that feels. And see if that makes you feel more fulfilled. And if you're working on slowing down, try it a little slower. Remembering you can always just lift the heel up on the foot. You don't have to lift the foot off the floor. If you want more of a challenge, you can lift the leg even higher. Even higher. There's a pose where you're on all fours. They call it fire hydrant pose. It looks like a dog lifting its leg. So it kind of looks like this. So you could even add that. So we can do this. Can be sitting fire hydrant pose. We'll put the hands up like this, and then come back down, and a couple more times. You could even bring the hands down and then come up for fire hydrant pose, and down, and up, and down, and let's roll the shoulders. Oh, and then the other way. And let's scoot back in the chair and go ahead and swivel the ankles around. Go ahead and slow those ankles down a little. Be mindful, go the other way. Remember to keep the knees stable. So if you need to rest the hands on the knees, that's okay. We don't want the lower legs doing this. We just want the ankles moving, mostly. The lower legs move a little. Let's add the wrists to it too. And the other way. And let's rock the feet. Going back and forth, lifting the heels, lifting the toes. And I usually do it barefooted or just with socks. And it feels different to me. I can feel the support from the shoe here, which is a nice change. It's a nice change for me. So you could experiment a little bit. Assuming you're doing everything seated, you could potentially take your shoes off and see how that feels. And or if you're doing your practice with no shoes, then you could add your shoes. And then resting the palms like this and touch the shoulders. And then if you want, try doing the feet back and forth. Feet back and forth when you touch the shoulders. So as my hands come down and touch, my heels lift. And then when my toes come up, my fingers come up and touch the shoulders. So it's back and forth. So the rhythm is the same for both the feet and the elbows. Or really, this is kind of like the ankles. Getting a nice dorsiflexion of the ankles here. And sitting up nice and tall, and then rolling the shoulders. And lifting one foot and lifting one foot and pointing and flexing. Make sure the knee and the ankle line up here and the hip, so the leg is straight ahead. And then resting, and then the other side. Trying to keep the bottom of the foot flat, so we're not rotating the ankle in or out here. And then we'll lift up and flex and back and forth like this. So as I lift up, I'm going to flex. I'm going to lift up and flex. Feel free if you want to close the eyes here. It can be nice to just rely on the feeling of the leg lifting. So as I lift the leg, I can feel under my palms the quadriceps contracting, and then they release when they come down. Think about extending the heel away. Think about extending the heel away, or think about extending from the back of the knee down towards the heel, and from the back of the knee up towards the sitting bones. So it's almost like the skin on the back, on the middle of the leg, the back of the knee is spreading in both directions like this. So there's a nice opening and lengthening of the skin on the back of the leg. And that in turn is going to help to open and give that feeling of lengthening to the hamstrings and the calf. And then if you want, you could do two legs. So you get a choice here. You can continue with one leg, or you could do both legs at the same time, assuming that feels okay. If you need support when you lift the legs, you could put the hands on the chair here and press into the chair, or even hold on to the edge of the chair with the arms extending down. So the arms become sort of like a pole to help support. So when I extend up, there's a little bit more lifting in the shoulders. But make sure that when you press down with the hands, that your shoulders aren't riding up towards the ears. So we don't want the shoulders to stick up like this. We need to be able to keep the shoulders down as we lift up. And for some people, you'll be able to bring the feet together and perhaps even the insides of the legs. Keeping the knees pointing straight up. So the hips and the knees and the ankles are more or less in a straight line, or as straight as they can be given our anatomies. And we'll do 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. And then come down. Let's roll the shoulders, and then back the other way. And let's slide forward in the chair and get some space between the feet. And we're going to circle around. Let's try it with one arm today. We often do both arms, but you know what? You can do both arms if you want, or you can try it with one arm. So now I'm just circling one arm, circling around. You could even, if your shoulders feel okay, you could circle up like this. And you'll find if you're doing the arm that you're going to be moving a little bit more to the side. You're leaning over a little bit more. Leaning, and now let's go the other way. So circling around. And if you want, you can add the arm. Circling the arm around. So as we circle the arm around like this, we want to notice the opening that's happening in the side of the body. So the ribs are opening, the space between the hip and the lower ribs is even opening, as well as the armpit. And then if you want, for the last one, let's go back the other way. You can add both arms if you're doing the arms. But you could also work, remember, you can also work with the hands on the knees like this and moving around with some grounding from the hands into the lower part of the body. So if you feel like you need to be more grounded today, and these are challenging times, so maybe a little more grounding is good, feeling the connection between the feet and the earth, feeling the connection between the hands and the knees and the feet and the earth. Let's go the other way. That might actually feel better. But if you need to feel a little bit more freedom, that a little bit more like something flying around, like leaves in the wind, you could add the arms or arm, whichever you like. So there's a lot of choices. And let's sit up nice and tall. And take a breath in. And then give us a little hug. And then a few hugs. Breaths in and hug. And in and hug. And then go ahead and bring the arms down. Let's roll the shoulders a couple of times. Let's stand up next. Or you could do this seated as well. So we'll have a choice here. We're going to start in mountain pose. So either seated in mountain pose like we've been doing, thinking about extending the spine up, or standing in mountain pose. So you may want your chair handy. You may want a chair handy here. But standing or seated, we're still extending the spine. Our feet are connecting down into the earth. The chin is soft, and let the chin come down slightly. Not bowing the head, but making sure the chin's not lifting up like this. Making sure the face is straight ahead. And the best way to check the chin, I found, is to lift it up slightly and then lift it down and see if you can stop. See if you can find a spot where it feels like the bottom of the chin is parallel to the floor. The best way to check it is to look in the mirror. It's the most reliable way, but we can still feel if it's close. And let's lift and roll the shoulders back. And then let's bring the hands. We've been working on this opening of the shoulders. So we're going to do the opening of the shoulders with the hands in whatever favorite position you like. I'll turn sideways so you can see either the fingers pointing down with the palms on the top of the buttocks. So it's actually my palms. So the top of my buttocks is right here. My waist is here. My palms are really about on the waist, and my fingers are actually down so that they're on the curve of the buttocks sticking out. Or you could interlace the fingers like this, or you could take hold of the elbows like this. So it's your choice here. You could also work with the hands on the hips like this. Either way, no matter which one you do, you're going to get an opening across the chest. So find which one is comfortable and opens the chest. And at the same time, we need to keep the belly from sticking out. So if you find that the belly is starting to stick out, see if you can contract it slightly to make it a little flatter, a little less curve. So when we contract here, it's going to take some of the curve out of the lower back. So we don't want a flat back, but we don't want to sway back either. We want something in between. So find whatever spot it works for you and just stand there and breathe. Feeling connected in the bottoms of the feet with the earth. So feel the soles of the feet connecting with the earth. That's our support. And then ever so slightly bend the knees and straighten the knees. So if your hands are back behind you somewhere on your buttocks, as you straighten the knees, you begin to feel the gluteal muscles, these guys right here, they contract. And that's what we want. We want to straighten, and we want to feel a contraction here. And if you were to put your hands on your thighs, you'd feel the quadriceps shorten too. They would contract. So we get contraction, 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 but kind of a soft contraction. So I'm only using maybe 30% of my effort. It's a slight contraction, and that's going to stabilize our pelvis. The firmness here, firmness here, firmness here will stabilize our pelvis. So we're going to bend and straighten. Perhaps think about moving the thighs back towards the wall behind you, the fronts of the thighs, back towards the wall behind you. Notice that the knee, the back of the knee opens when we do this. And then we soften. And then we straighten. And when you soften the knees, make sure they travel straight ahead. So you may need to actually squeeze the inner thigh muscles together, or think about moving the sitting bones together. So you can't see the sitting bones here, but think about squeezing right down in the middle between the legs, or even compacting the hips, bringing the hips together. So we want to keep the knees on track so they're not splaying out and they're not going in. We don't want them to go in either. Feet are pointing straight ahead. Now let's go ahead and bring the hands back. We're going to do a modified chair pose. So feel free to do this in front of the chair if you want. If you're concerned at all about balance, you might want to have a chair behind you. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see a few choices here. One is you can just put the hands out like this for balance. You could interlace the hands like this. You could rest one hand like this. Or you could even work with the hands on the hips if you wanted. If you didn't want to have the hands out, I like the arms out for balance, because as I begin to sit down, and notice I'm bending a little bit more than I did in before, when we were doing with the hands behind the back, or the chest opener here and bending the knees. And as I begin to bend a little bit more, I want the weight to go into the heels, and I want the back to feel long. If you start to get your butt sticks out and you get a big curve here, it compresses the vertebra. the back of the vertebra and the lumbar spine and can create pain and problems. So we don't want that. And if you're having trouble going down without doing that, then don't go down so far. So the weight shifting more into the heels, and then I'm coming back up. The knees are doing the same thing here as they were before. They're going straight ahead. And that's really important. So as we begin to bend the knees a little more, it's even more important to make sure the knees are on track. I'm not going further than my knees at the end of my feet. So when I look down like this, I can still see the edges, the ends of my toes. So that's as far as I'm going to go down. And I'm keeping a firmness on the inner thighs, firmness in the buttocks. So even as I go down and my weight shifts into the heels, there's a firmness in the gluteal muscles and the front muscles in the thighs and the belly. So that firmness, and stand up nice and tall. And inhale, bring the arms out to the side, and then relax, and inhale, and relax. So we maintain that same firmness, that stability that we created with the gluteal muscles and the quadriceps and the belly to maintain the shape of the pelvis or the shape of the spine in relation to the pelvis. That's what we want to do in our chair pose. So let's try that one more time. So remember, you can adjust your hands however you like. You can have them out like this. You can cross, and we're going to go up and down a few times. If you're getting any pain in the lower back here, you're going down too far. So there shouldn't be any pain or even discomfort. There really shouldn't be any discomfort. It may be a firmness, maybe feeling some effort. Remember, the weight's going into the heels. And notice I'm really not sitting down very far. If I was going to sit in a chair, I'd have to go a lot further down like this. And I'm still not even in the chair. So I want to work just a little bit. And over time, and come back up, if you do a chair pose on a regular basis, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and you do some repetitions, maybe 10 repetitions, but only never do it if there's any sort of knee pain, knee issues or hip issues. But if you practice over time, you'll get so you can go a little bit deeper, and these muscles will begin to firm up even more. And let's stand up nice and tall and swing the arms. Oh, remember, you can have your chair too in front like this. I'm swinging and keeping the knees slightly bent here. So as I swing my arms, there's a little springiness in my knees. My legs are not, they extend as I lean to the side, or one extends. I should say this, so this one, the weight comes onto this leg extends more. But it's not totally straight, it's still a little bit bent. And I can begin to let my waist turn as well. So there's this movement back and forth. And when I shift the weight, there's a natural tendency for a turning in the abdomen. And let's do our balance pose. We're going to do tree pose. Actually, let's do crane pose today. I'll show you why. We're going to do crane pose. We're going to stand up nice and tall. And then thinking about mountain pose, and then go ahead and tap one leg. This will be our straight leg. There's a firmness in the quadriceps, firmness in the buttocks, back behind you. So if you need to, give it a tap. Feel that it's firm. And then we'll go ahead and we'll begin to lift up. We'll start by just lifting the heel up. So the weight is shifting over to this side. And if you're a little wobbly, you've got your chair. Keep your chair handy. And then we'll begin to lift up. And the reason I wanted to do crane pose is you can vary the height of your knee. So turn sideways. So this will be your choice to vary how high the knee comes here. So if you want, you can bring the knee up high, or you can keep it down lower like this. You could even keep the toes on the floor. Then go ahead and bring the foot down. And if you lose your balance, hold on to the chair and just try again. So inhale, both legs are pressing firmly into the floor, and then we're going to do the other side. We're going to lift up, begin to lift up. So the weight's coming, the heel's lifting up, the weight's on this standing leg. And then we're going to slowly lift up. And you can come to whatever height feels comfortable for you. Whatever height feels comfortable for you. You could even, if you want, you could do some ankle rotations while you're here, if you'd like. A little extra. And then come on down. That's optional. And let's just shake 1 sec. So sometimes when we spend time and we're really focused, sometimes we need to just sort of, kind of move things around a little bit and then settle back in. So come back to our mountain pose, and we'll do the other side again. So this opposite, the switch legs. This will be our firm leg. Give it a pat. Give the buttocks a pat, maybe. Give the belly a pat even. So firm, firm, firm. Weight shifting. Lift the heel up. Lift the knee up. Find a drishti point. If you want, you can put your wings out. Wings out like this. Like you're going to fly away like a crane. Or maybe a cormorant. If you've ever seen the cormorants put their wings out like this. I don't know if they stand on one leg or two. And then come on down. We'll do the other side. Mountain pose. Feel even on both legs first. Give that other quadricep a pat. That's our straight leg. The gluteal muscles behind you. Tap the belly. Firm, firm, firm. Stand up nice and tall. Take the weight. Lift the heel. Keep firmness. Keep that leg extending up. Keep the spine extending up. And then if you want, you can add your wings. Hold your wings out. And if this balancing is really super easy, most don't recommend this for many people, but you could close your eyes, or you can partially close your eyes to make it a little more challenging for balance. But remember, only if you have super good balance. And then go ahead and come back down. Now let's swing the arms. So nice and easy swinging here. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll sit down. And feet apart, let's go ahead and circle around a couple of times in one direction. Really feeling the weight underneath you. That connection with the earth, feeling the weight move from one buttock to the other, from one foot to the other, and then to the buttock. Let's go the other way. And sitting up nice and tall. Add a little bit of movement with the arms. Inhale up and exhale down. Opening the heart here. As the hands rise up, the heart opens. It's like we're a bird spreading its wings. And then we'll bring the hands back and then go the other way. And then let's settle back into our Shavasana. So whatever feels comfortable for you. The feet are flat on the floor. And we want to feel supported. You could do Shavasana without the support of the back of the chair, but it's nice nice to have some support here. Resting the palms in the lap. Or you could even rest the palms on the legs if you wanted. So your choice here. And if you have glasses on, you may want to take them off. More comfortable to take the glasses off. And we'll focus in on the breath. So we'll complete our class today the same way we normally do, which is we'll begin our shavasana together, and then the meeting will end, and feel free to continue with your shavasana. Often thought of as the most important part of the class, the shavasana part. It's when the mind it's been active, and we give it a chance to rest. And sometimes that activity leads to really nice resting of the mind and the body. You could also do this laying down if you wanted, your shavasana. As you breathe in, feel the belly lifting. And as you breathe out, feel the belly going back, shoulders relaxed. So we'll continue with our shavasana, but I'd like to thank you because we'll have an informal ending. So I thank you all for practicing today. And I'll see everyone next time. And each time you inhale, feel a little lighter. And each time exhaling, softening. Lightness on the inhalation, softening, relaxation on the exhalation. Not trying too hard. Letting go of almost all the effort here. Tiny effort, 5 or 10% effort with the breath, and with the spine. Just enough to keep a good shape, keep good posture. Namaste.